important because I'm going to sort of share successes and crisis of my own achievement of agency. And for me, first of all, well, I'll start with successes. And of course, being published in an edited collection was a huge, huge success. But before that publication came about, I needed to believe that I could do that, because again, putting it into context, the submissions, the call for submissions was, I think, issued in late 2020, and at that point, I had not published. In fact, this chapter is my first publication. I had only conducted one scholarship project, and I disseminated by oral presentation the results of that project in December 2019, and then pandemic came. So it really shows that for me, submitting a proposal for a chapter was a huge agentic success. So for me, it was this idea that I could do it, which was informed by the experience of what happened before. And what happened before was really my reimagining scholarship. That first experience of doing the scholarship, even though I was doing it with a mentor, was quite difficult and messy. I didn't enjoy it, and that's not a judgment on the mentor who tried their best. I did not understand what's involved, and I didn't set the parameters narrow enough. I gathered a lot of data. I couldn't really, when it all came through, I felt overwhelmed, and I didn't know how to analyze it. And I felt like I was grasping and walking in the dark. And that's despite help. And I think that's because I couldn't really, I didn't know that this is normal. And I didn't really have that experience of doing that kind of research with people before. My master's dissertation was on text analysis, and that sort of was working with people and doing interviews and analyzing data in a different way. For me, what helped me believe that I could submit a proposal was, first of all, seeing and reading Bee's book, Making Language Visible in the University. For me, it was hugely influential. Thank you, Bee, for this book. And in particular, that section where you explain how you became an accidental scholar. So that kind of messiness of this experience, the lack of kind of, the fact that it's not linear, that it's not straightforward, that it meanders, that it comes, that there are different methods used for different contexts. For me, that was illuminating. I felt like I could actually see my own experience in your words, and I felt represented, and I felt that this experience resonated with my own, and it gave me hope. And equally, that same year, I came across a peer-reviewed journal article. The picture of that article is not in the screen because I couldn't really remember it now, but it was an article discussing two female working class academics, and they were discussing their experience of working in academia, which was a topic of my interest. And when I started reading the article, I realized that the format of it is like nothing I have seen before. And it was a scripted dialogue. And there and then I found duethnography, which is a research methodology which I wholeheartedly embraced, because I am fascinated by oral cultures and I believe in storytelling, and I just talk things through with myself and people in my life, and that's how I get on with things. And I naturally aligned with that methodology. So whilst I tried something standard with my first SOTO and the interviews and survey, I found that this was interesting, but it was really not my cup of tea. When Duoethnography and English language teaching came out, I love this book, and I encourage everyone to explore it if you're interested in dialogic research methods, because here the authors explore not only the application of that methodology for research, but also for teaching and professional development. So this was a kind of a long story just to say that achieving agentic success for me was submitting a chapter proposal for to Alex and Letitia, as much as it was the experience of writing it and being finally published. And that happened because I could imagine myself in the space. And indeed, imagination is an important element of developing professional identity. It helps us locate our place, understand the landscape of our practice, and locate ourselves in it. And it can help find our place in it. And I've experienced that since the chapter, or the experience of writing it and engaging with the research for the chapter, I've experienced it many times. I've experienced it when I saw a chapter in social theory book that Alex mentioned earlier, and I saw a chapter written by Yolanda Cerdas on feminism. For me, that was another opening, and I thought, I don't know if I can engage with absolutely all aspects of EAP equally, but that's one aspect that I would love to explore more. And I felt that natural affinity with it. Imagination is important, but it's not all. And in this theory of agency, the lack of agency is that sense of being stuck, of not seeing options and not seeing ways out, really. And I experience, and so far, well, we experience the sense of being stuck quite often, but I'm talking about a kind of existential experiences, those that are really transformative and deeply affected my professional development and identity. And so far, the one that's discussed in the chapter, which again I encourage you to explore and just check if it resonates with you, was the experience of attending a promotion meeting. And I have to add that at that time, when I went for the meeting, the promotion sort of criteria for scholarship that was listed, as you can see on the screen. At that time, when I went to the meeting, I was told that I have to meet that criterion as well in its preponderance. In years that follow, this was adjusted, and now it is the promotion application is more aligned with the responsibilities for teaching, learning, and scholarship track. So the most important category for moving from a lower grade to a higher grade is first teaching, then teaching and one other category, and then more categories of choice. We cannot leave categories empty. But when I went to a promotion application meeting back in 2017, I heard that I have to be producing the evidence of scholarship as listed here in the form of monographs and external policies, book chapters, and things which at that time were beyond my dreams and beyond my capabilities. And that made me feel stuck. It made me feel really disillusioned about my role in the institution, and I felt cornered, and I felt like working on a conveyor belt, that my role was to really do this little menial job and for other people to enjoy what they could and what they should. And that sense was a part of that was that frustration and sense of being stuck and not seeing options for moving forward. Was it was a more recent sort of example was when I was trying to find funding for the sanctuary activities in my unit. So sanctuary activities, what I mean by that is working with refugees and asylum seekers. As University of Glasgow, like other universities, experiencing financial difficulties, I guess, with fluctuating number of students. The funding for some activities has not been granted as easily as it had been before, and I felt really frustrated and then unable to really react to that until I reimagined how it could look like, and it took me a while. So this sense of being stuck can really deeply corrode professional sense of self. That comes strongly across in the chapter with that I co-authored with Anya. It corrodes the sense of trust for the institution that we work for. I work for. I felt a range of emotions, and not none of them good. And effectively, or ultimately, such if it's spread over a long period of time, it can lead to a decision to lead a profession. So what helped me seeing options again? So what helped me being agentic? And well, it's projects like Alex and Letitia's book. I mean, the 2 years that they've given us, it's the time, space, and people. These 3 themes come across in or emerged in the chapter that I wrote with Anya. And it's those 3 things that they've given us, the group that got together. There was time to think. That project was 2 years long, and not that was enough that time was needed. Not all the 2 years were used for writing, but a lot of it was used for thinking. There was space to meet and think and reflect, and there were people, and that could help and help you see things differently. And just to unpick that just a little bit more, if I still have a bit more time.
Just a little bit.
Yes. Okay. So thinking, so I'll be very quick. So reflecting back on the experience and of my journey towards professional development. So from the very beginning of my time in Glasgow until 2024, which is now 11 years, socialization into EAP does take time. We need to acknowledge and we need to work with it. We know that we all come into the profession from different angles, and we will need different solutions. As simple as that. It is a challenge for the developers and for the EAP community to create those opportunities. It's not straightforward at all. Space, we need to think about where we do scholarship, and is it a good space? What spaces are conducive to scholarships, and why? And my question always is, why do I always think better on a dog walk rather than in my office? I simply cannot think of things in my office. My office seems to be for other things, but not scholarship. Space is kind of also understood intellectual and symbolic sense as well. I think being with other people, going to conferences is not just about listening to new ideas, it's being with people. And people, in the chapter, Anya and I called it caring collaborations. We're not assuming that every time we work together with somebody, it has to be transformative, but when it does happen, it is mind-blowing and helps us grow. And such opportunities are really, really important. And ultimately, for me, what I've learned, and my main sort of takeaway, is that if there is time or space, there's a shortage of time and space, the social aspect of it, people, if we have good people around us, it can help us grow. So